Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sisters of the Strange. I'm Landry.
And I'm Shae.
I almost said I'm Shae. I don't know why my brain does that.
I would have said I'm Landry.
I think I just always think ahead.
It's fine. It is hotter than a mofo up in here.
Yeah, sorry, guys. We told you on the last episode we were just going to have to work through heat and editing out the AC unit.
We lied.
I'm going to just do my best to edit that thing out because there is absolutely no way I'm sitting up here like that hot. I'm still hot with it on.
It's hot.
Every crevice is sweaty.
Sweaty.
Yeah, I will not be doing that.
Somebody threw a photo off the wall at us earlier.
Yeah, we were in the middle of both of us. We're going to record 2 episodes today, and both of us were working on our stories, and I was literally reading a sentence that was like, it was a dark, cold, stormy night. I wasn't expecting anybody, and then that thing fell off the wall, and we both said, you looked at me, and I was hands up like this, like, oh gosh.
Yeah, it was loud. I thought, it just kind of fell off. It actually didn't.
No, it's like out. And there's no wind over there. The AC unit is right here. Like there's no draft over there.
Yeah, it's like away from the wall.
Yeah, we'll have to take a picture and then we'll post it because we haven't moved where it fell to. And like you can see where it was hanging because there's still another version of it hanging just like 6 inches up the wall to the right of it. And it's still hanging just fine. So you can see like where it should have been in the distance it like
came out. Yeah, that's weird. I don't like that. No. I didn't notice that until just now.
There's no draft over there either. Like there's no wind or anything. That's kind of odd.
Not a
We
fan.
both said, can you just not? We'll worry about. Please don't. Please do this later.
We don't have the energy to worry about you right now.
Yeah, like we've said 1,000 times. You get this space for like 7 days, like six and a half days
at
a week.
Least. Yeah, 6.5 exactly.
Yeah, leave us alone.
Exactly.
Well, I guess are you ready to just get into today?
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. It's a roller coaster ride.
Because I have no clue what you're talking about.
It is a roller coaster.
All right. Well, let's get into it.
Let's do it. Today, we're going to talk about this really interesting case that takes place in like the 80s. But we're going to build up to that.
Ooh.
So we're going to talk about the curious case of Cindy James. Cindy. I almost said Sydney. Cindy James.
Cindy.
Okay, so let's talk about the background of our friend Cindy here. So, Cynthia Elizabeth Hack was born in Oliver, British Columbia, Canada, on June 12th, 1944, to her mother and father, Matilda or Tilly, which is so cute.
I do love that.
And Otto Hack. So her mom was a homemaker. She was a stay-at-home mom. Dad was an English teacher and a former colonel in the Royal Canadian Air Force. Both of her parents were of Russian descent. They had a big family. She was one of 6 children, 3 older brothers, 2 younger sisters. And they spent most of their time and like part of Cindy's teenage years in, I'm going to butcher this, in Canada. Ottawa? Don't know. Ottawa.
I bet every single person says it different than the people who live there. So
yeah. Anyway, so that's where she kind of grew up because of her father being involved in the Air Force. Okay. That's where she went to high school. There's also talk kind of later on in the story that possibly like during her childhood, she was molested or at least sexually harassed by either her father or somebody that knew her family.
Okay.
Whether that was father's friend, brother. So not really like super in depth, but just kind of touches on it a little bit. But I'll talk about it when we get there. But just so it's in the background. In adulthood, Cindy, why do I keep wanting to say Sydney? Cindy pursued a nursing career in Vancouver.
Okay.
She enrolled in nursing school in 1962. During this time in her life, she was a young adult. She had occasionally written back to her family. Her family moved to France when she was in college for Air Force. Her father re-enlisted in the Air Force and they moved to France. They were stationed in France. So she did not go with them. She stayed in Vancouver, but she would write back and forth to her family. This is just kind of like an obscure fact, but nonetheless, I'm going to add it in there anyway. because it's weird. Cindy occasionally referred to this like unnamed man that she had met during her school, during college. That she had one point been engaged to him. They had been in a relationship. And then they found out that he had terminal cancer.
Oh.
And they went on a ski trip together as a couple, and he committed suicide.
Oh.
She never like told her parents, her siblings, who his name was. Never told anybody who his name was, or like they never met him. Like it was just somebody that she was like, oh yeah, well I'm like dating this guy, we're engaged, but now he's dead. So anyway.
How odd.
Very strange. It doesn't really ever touch back on that, but I just thought it was really, really weird.
It's terrifying.
It's kind of traumatic as well.
Well, yeah.
So in the summer of 1965, Cindy meets Mr. Roy Makepeace. What a name.
I would love that.
Mr. Makepeace.
Mr. Makepeace.
So he's a South African psychiatrist who is 18 years older than her. They got married in December of 1966, so a year after they met.
Pause. Psychiatrist, Makepeace.
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
Okay.
I know. I was like, this can't be real. It's real.
He knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm. So they get married in 1966, which is the same year that she graduates nursing school with her bachelor's degree in nursing, her BSN. She's grown. She's doing her thing, living her life. Her parents are kind of skeptical of this marriage because they're like, he's 18 years older than you. Like, her father was like not really sure of him, was kind of like, you're taking advantage of her because she's naive and gullible and young and whatever, which is weird. Like, she's grown.
Yeah.
She's a nurse. She's got a career. Like, relax. Relax.
Take it down a notch, buddy.
Her family had testified that the couple's marriage was troubled and that at times the two of them were like emotionally distant. They weren't really like super, I guess, close or like emotionally together. Yeah, it was weird. Which I was thinking like that could possibly be because of the fact that he's South African. Like it could be like a culture thing, you know, and that he's a psychiatrist. He's smart. He's
scientific.
One of those
it's kind of like scientific.
Yeah, it's just very like straight and to the point, you know, type people. So even though the family testified that their marriage was troubled, later on, Cindy does say like, oh, there was a little bit of abuse here in this relationship. He always was trying to like scare me and threaten me. But she never really said anything about physical abuse, really. It was just more of like psychological abuse, I think, like mental abuse. And Makepeace is like, admits to the fact that he's like, well, I only slapped her twice over the course of our marriage. Like,
she's fine.
I only hit her twice. Only backhanded her twice, you know? Like, Jesus, God, okay. And even though he was licensed as a psychiatrist in South Africa, Makepeace had failed 2 different times to obtain his license in Canada as a psychiatrist. So, you know, if you are licensed in another country, it's like a whole other deal to like be licensed in whatever. And that goes for most things. Usually you just have to like test or whatever. And
yeah, even my license, you have to go state to state with. Yeah. Like I don't have to like do the full extent, but I think I still have to do some sort of state to state testing.
To get a state license. Yeah. So instead of him being a psychiatrist in Canada, he accepts this job as an assistant professor in the Faculty of Medicine at the University of British Columbia. Cindy graduates. She's working as a nurse. She's working as a pediatric nurse in Vancouver General Hospital, where her husband had also at one point been employed from 66 when they got married to 75.
Okay.
In 1973, Makepeace took a job as a director of health services at some company. So he leaves there. In April of 1975, Cindy was hired as a team coordinator at Vancouver's Blenheim House, which was a facility that cared for children with behavioral disorders. So she was kind of like in the psych side of things as well. And she worked there for approximately 12 years and was noted by all of her coworkers that she was like competent. She was a good nurse. She was professional. She was beautiful, pretty, nice, all the things.
Yeah.
Right? Always. So that's a little background on our friend Cindy. She's successful. She's a nurse. She's married. Her husband's successful. She's a good person. She's normal, professional.
Yeah. Sounds like she has her shit together.
She's got her shit together.
That's what it sounds like.
So things start to get a little bit weird. She starts becoming victim to these incidences, is what they're called, that begin in September of 1982. So it's a few years go by. She's married, whatever. This starts 4 months after she's separated from Mr. Makepeace, her husband.
Okay.
In late September, she starts to tell friends and family that she's suspecting that there's somebody stalking her, that there's a prowler that's been like lurking around her home.
I do not like the idea of a prowler.
A prowler.
That word sounds just like a little bit even more scary than stalker to me.
A little sinister.
Yeah, prowler just...
Prowler.
Yeah.
She receives multiple series of obscene phone calls after she like starts to feel like she's being watched. She's being prowled upon. And the first one she receives was on October 7th, 1982. Cindy's mom says that although she was reluctant to discuss her experiences, she indicated that the phone calls consisted of an individual speaking in like different voices. They were like changing their voices, and that sometimes there was just silence on the other end of the phone.
Hello, Cindy.
Hello, Cindy.
It's feeling very Scream.
Right. It's weird.
What's he doing out there?
I don't know. Cindy also described some of these calls as being like sexual and violent in nature. So it's like
girl,
one
no.
or the other.
Change your number.
It's weird. Weird shit's going on. So that starts on, the first phone call starts October 7th. October 11th, Cindy receives another phone call consisting of just loud breathing. You know, the typical horror movie, loud breathing on the other end of the phone. The next day, she receives another call in a different type of voice with a menacing whisper which says, "I'll get you one night, Cindy."
Okay, is the movie Scream based off of this? Is this where we're going? What is going on here?
I don't know, but it seems very screamy.
I don't like it.
Very Scream-like.
It is. How spooky.
It gets worse.
Oh, no.
So much worse. So she reports the phone calls to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
The Horsemen.
Or the RCMP, was what we're going to call them. Okay, this is a lot of words. Reports the phone calls to the RCMP, who visited her house and suggested that, you know, hey, start to keep a list of like the call, what it consists of. Try to get the number if you can, whatever it may be.
Anything.
Just write it down, all of it.
Yeah.
Document it. Soon after this officer left her house, after this third, or it's already the third phone call, she gets another phone call.
Did you just do the third? Oh.
I might have. I don't know. I'm 3. Because now we're on 4. She receives another phone call in which another male voice says, "You fucking bitch, I'll get you." I guess I should have warned at the beginning. I meant to warn at the beginning, but this episode, it gets a little bit rough in here. So
Viewer discretion is
advised, you fucking bitch. I'll get you. So the next day, on the afternoon of October 13th, the caller threatened her. So you think calling the police will keep you safe? You wait.
Oh, you better relax.
I've got my zipper open.
What does that mean?
And then it says, I'm talking to... It just gets dirty. Then she ends the call. Okay? It says, I'm talking to my throbbing ... And then she ends the call. It's getting creepy.
Oh my
Nasty.
God.
Prowler.
I'd be like, hey, can I live like in the jail with like a cop right now?
Put me in a jail cell.
Please.
Jail cell?
Jail cell.
So she's getting these creepy ass phone calls multiple times a day.
Very disturbing.
Very disturbing. And I'm sure that there's even like worse things that are said, you know, that aren't documented.
Yeah.
So 2 days later, Cindy calls the RCMP again and says that she heard someone walking outside around her house, lurking around, and woke up in the next morning and saw that her porch lights had been smashed and broken and destroyed.
I don't like that. I sleep with my porch lights on solely for the fact that if someone's coming up to my house, you can, not that I can see them, but anybody can see them. Yeah.
So on October 15th, she reports to the police that someone had thrown a rock through her window, came in her house, but nothing had been disturbed. Nothing had been taken. Everything was fine. It was just this rock was thrown through her window.
And they're in her house.
And somebody was in her house, apparently.
No dice.
So 4 days later, October 19th, she reported that someone came in her house and cut up her pillow on her bed. So it's just like little things.
Literally like torment.
We're just
mental games.
Right. It's like too much. So all of this stuff is going on every day. She's like terrified. There's this man named Patrick McBride. He's a constable with the Vancouver RCMP and suspected that this intruder person was her ex-husband, who's like,
astute observation.
no, bro, not me. And Cindy herself had even made conflicting statements regarding her ex-husband, telling authorities that she didn't think that he was capable of tormenting her, but had also told friends and coworkers in the past that he was violently abusive during their marriage, and he would like play mind games and was just like, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like she was telling all of her close friends and family that this was happening in her marriage, but then she's telling the police, oh no, I don't think he would do that. I don't think he's capable of like doing this.
Girl, screw
type
your
of
head
thing.
on. Pull your head out of your ass.
What are we doing?
Don't be so
At least
naive.
just be like, I don't know, look into him. Maybe.
It makes sense. 4 months after my marriage.
Yeah,
has
all of a
fallen
sudden
apart.
it just starts. So anyway, on October 20th, 2 people were renting out Cindy's basement. Reported to the police that they heard strange noises upstairs on the main floor after she had already left for work.
Bitch. Get it together.
Which is also weird that there's people living in her basement at this time also.
Yeah, I'm like,
and she's like, this stuff is going on. Like, girl, are we sure that it's not your tenants? Like,
yeah.
But the tenants are like, there's something going on upstairs and she's supposedly not here. She's supposed to be at work.
Can y'all check this out?
And a next door neighbor had informed McBride, this constable, that she had witnessed a man standing outside the house on at least 3 different occasions. And at one point in time, she saw him like go through the gate of the front yard. But the neighbor said it didn't look like her ex-husband.
Oh.
Like it didn't resemble him at all.
I'm like, can somebody like go outside and like
Patrol?
a shotgun?
Right.
Something. Scare somebody.
What are we doing? Somebody's literally like there's a lurker. There's a prowler.
If I saw someone repeatedly, and I know my neighbor, everyone that lives around me, I know what all of them look like.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of my home, I step off my porch. I can look in every direction. In every house I see, I know what the owner looks like. I know the majority of what their friends look like. I sit on my front porch a lot, but my office also faces like my front of my house. Like I see. If my friend Sydney lives right next door. If I saw a man standing outside of her home 3 different times,
Immediately calling the police.
we are going to have very large problems.
Right. We're not playing these games.
No.
We are not playing these games.
That's crazy.
Literally
Crazy work.
ever. No.
Honestly, if I even saw a man standing outside of her house one time.
That doesn't belong there. No, absolutely not. So mid-November, McBride said that he himself received a mysterious phone call at the home while Cindy was there. Because apparently the two had gotten close. And so he was kind of staying there a little bit. But there was a mysterious phone call, but there was no words on the other end of the line.
But it went to his phone.
To her home phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
he was at the house with Cindy.
Okay, I thought it went to like his phone separately. I was like,
So McBride initially says, oh, well, this call may have been made from an airport terminal because he perceived that he heard a woman's voice in the background over like a PA system, which could be a multitude of things. Why the airport? Don't know.
literally could be inside Walmart.
But it was eventually traced to some exchange in the Vancouver suburb of Richmond. Later in November, Cindy finds a note pinned to her car windshield, which featured a picture of a corpse lying under a medical sheet, just stuck to her windshield.
Mm-mm.
And then on November 28th, McBride, this constable guy who's still around, observes that the phone lines outside of her house had been cut in 5 different places.
Great.
What? Literally what? Cindy says that her and Makepeace had remained cordial and friendly despite their divorce and sometimes invited him to the home with McBride present. And both men had shared a fascination with finding this alleged harasser. And they would often all just discuss it together. And they were just like trying to figure it out, which I mean, I guess that's fair. That's fair.
If he's not guilty
But
of
like,
doing any of this weird shit, and he truly cares about her well-being, yes.
Fair. But are we injecting ourselves into said investigation?
Yes.
I don't know. So McBride moves out of Cindy's house on December 1st. So it was only like a couple of months that they lived there, but they had continued to kind of casually date off and on, having dinners together in Vancouver and Washington and blah, blah, blah. That's neither here nor there. It's really not that important.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that she's like dating this constable guy who's like, we got to find this guy.
Yeah.
The week of Christmas, 1982, Cindy found another note outside her house reading Merry Christmas with a photo of a woman with her throat slashed and stained with red ink.
Oh.
I mean, just blatant torture.
Yeah.
And she's reporting all of this stuff to police. Everything is being reported to the police. All of it.
I don't have words because if I saw that on my front door, I'm not living there anymore.
So fast forward to the night of January 27th, 1983. Agnes Woodcock, who was a friend and co-worker from this troubled children psych place that Cindy worked at, she went to Cindy's house and found her lying unconscious in her backyard with a nylon stocking wrapped around her neck, just laying there. In her backyard.
Okay.
Cindy wakes up, she regains consciousness, and she tells Agnes that she had been attacked from behind by an assailant while walking to her garage, like her outside garage, and that the person attacked her, brought her into the garage where another person waited there, and the two strangled her with this nylon stocking.
This is totally Scream.
So there's two people. One strangles her. She's like, all I remember was somebody was wearing white sneakers. Doesn't see anything else. But apparently these two men attack her. She also alleges that the men inserted a knife into her vagina and threatened to kill her younger sister, Melanie, if she reported the attack to authorities. Which she did do.
Is Melanie not in France?
She went to the hospital. No, I don't think so.
Oh.
She went to the hospital. Doctors examined her after this alleged attack, and there was no evidence of sexual assault.
What's going on?
Yeah. Like, if somebody's assaulting you with a knife, like, there's going to be evidence.
Certainly.
So
Cindy.
The detectives are like, okay, girl, what's going on?
Seems a little odd.
So the police request that she sees a psychiatrist, and she's like, no, I'm not crazy, because if I go see a psychiatrist, like, I'm going to get stigmatized, and I'm a nurse, like, I have a career. I can't see a psychiatrist. So she's like, I'll just go to my doctor and do some counseling.
Sure.
Cool. That's the end of that. So after this attack, she relocates from her residence in Richmond to a house in West Vancouver on February 1st, 1983. Less than a week later, she had already received another threatening letter stating, "Run, rabbit, run. I'll show you how fucking good I am. Soon, bang, bang, you're dead."
Okay.
So then there's more obscene phone calls. Of course, this is continuing on this entire time. She moves again to another house in April. So she's in that one for a couple of months. She moves again in April. Makepeace, her ex-husband, who had he's trying to reconcile with her. He's like, hey girl, like, are you good? Like, let me help you. He's like buying her all these gifts and like sending her stuff, and paid for her to travel to Indonesia so that so she could visit her brother, who was also in the military. He's stationed there. He's like, I'll pay for you to go see your brother. Like, just get away for a little while. So she goes. Several weeks after returning from the trip, she finds another note, which read, "Welcome back. Death, blood, hate, etc."
I'm very confused right now. I don't know what route my brain is like, okay, we're going to go here, and I'm not sure where we're going with this.
She is just being followed and tortured.
Yeah.
Seemingly.
You've got me on the incidences. I'm like, is this bitch doing this to herself?
So between October and November of 1983, Cindy discovers the remains of 3 strangled cats in her garden, and each of them are bound with rope.
Sick.
She had accused in her diary of her ex-husband coming in and destroying her garden in the backyard, but nothing about the cats. So they're like, what in the fuck is this lady? What is she talking about? Because she's still reporting every single instance.
But now it's not like making
But
all
now
the
things
sense.
are not adding up. So she continues to receive numerous phone calls at home and at work, some of which are answered by her coworkers, her authorities. And when these other people pick up, nothing is said.
Huh.
But when she picks up the phone,
There's words.
But when all these other people are answering the phone, because she's getting these calls, there's nothing on the other line.
It's because it's her. She can't talk with them by her. Cinder. Oliver.
So she hires a PI. Some point in this has been going on for months now. She hires this PI, and on January 30th, 1984, he overhears strange noises on a 2-way radio that he had given Cindy, telling him like, oh shit, I need to go check. Like, I need to go check on her. Like, there's something going on there. I'm going to go to her house. So he gets there. Upon arrival, he found her laying unconscious on her living room floor with a paring knife stabbed through her hand and a note pinned through the knife. And the note was crafted with letters cut and pasted from a magazine, like something that you would see in a fucking movie, that says, "Now you must die, cunt."
She's doing this to herself.
And so Cindy was taken to a local hospital. She has this interview with her PI, and she says the last thing she remembers before he got there was seeing a man come through the gate onto her property before he assaulted her and bludgeoned her over the head with a blunt object, knocking her unconscious. And then she said once she was incapacitated, she recalled that her attacker inserted a hypodermic needle into her arm, which is just one of those tiny little needles, into her arm. So the doctors are like, well, she does have a needle mark in her right arm. We see that.
This bitch doing drugs.
But there's no traces of any drugs in her system.
What? Help. Help. I'm confused.
Cindy takes a polygraph after this incident happens.
And fails.
Which apparently shows that she didn't lie.
What is going on?
However, the officer who conducted the test later stated that the results, by his estimation, proved inconclusive.
Okay.
So it's like, she's not telling the truth, but she's also not lying, apparently.
Are you calling me a truther or a liar?
You ain't calling me a truther. Yeah. So
I'm very confused.
There's so much happening. A constable reported to Cindy's residence the night after this attack and said that he had seen that there was blood smeared in circular patterns on the kitchen floor as if though like somebody had tried to clean it up.
Yeah.
You know, where it just kind of like smears it around.
Okay. You know where just like came into my mind? True Blood. Sookie.
Yeah, Sookie Stackhouse.
Cleaning her grandmother's blood.
Oh, yeah.
That's the scene that just came into my brain.
Mm-hmm. And it's just pushing it around everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So that was January. In February of 1984, detectives start questioning her ex-husband a lot more. They're like, bro,
something's up.
Cindy said that she felt like it might be you. Now she's like, I don't know, maybe it might be him. So they're like, okay, well, we're gonna check into you now a little bit more, which they probably should have done in the beginning.
Maybe.
But Makepeace theorized that Cindy's attackers were part of the mafia.
Why?
Which is like, you're not doing yourself any favors,
sir. That is over here. Why? Why the mafia?
Why are we doing that? Why does everybody blame everything on the mafia?
I don't understand. You know what I would blame first in his position and her position? A crazed older patient. No, patient.
Oh, yeah.
She worked with all the psych kids, like apparently for the last, 12, 18 years, whatever the hell.
12 years.
So I would say maybe like one that phased out, old enough
to be a psychopath.
That's where I'd aim.
Yeah.
That's probably the finger I'd point first.
That makes sense.
Maybe.
That makes sense. And her husband's like, no, it's the mafia. Bro, what?
Immediately.
But apparently he theorized that the attackers were part of the mafia and connected to her employment at said place. Because they often treated children who were wards of the court or the state. So, I mean,
kind of involved in some shady shit sometimes.
I guess. Could be. I mean, there's corrupt people that, I don't know. I
literally don't know.
Doesn't seem very mafia-like to me. So we're going to jump forward a little bit from February where they start questioning this guy and they're like, nah, it's not me. I'm going to point you over here to the mafia. After her ex-husband's like, nah, it's the mafia. In the summer of 1984, Cindy's like, okay, we've reached things are getting super intense. Like there's so much happening right now. Like I don't even know what to do. On June 18th, she calls her PI in a panic and he comes over to her house and finds her hiding in her garden outside, claiming that somebody was inside the house. So he goes inside and he's checking the house. He finds her dog, Heidi, cowering down in the basement with a note on the dog that says happy birthday alongside some like sexual explicit photos. I don't know exactly what they are, but they're like nasty. I'm sure it's nonsense.
Go anywhere near my dog.
Right. So
you will die.
The dog had been injured, abused physically. And there was a rope bound around the dog that seemed to be the same kind of binding that they were finding on these dead cats that she had found in her yard the previous like fall.
No, you will not.
And there was a cigarette in the basement where the dog was found, but it did not match the type of cigarettes that Cindy smoked. She smoked cigarettes. It wasn't her cigarettes.
Yeah.
Why did we not DNA test it? I don't know.
I'm just letting you know right now, if anyone ever comes near my dogs.
Right. I agree. 100%. I'm killing you. I'm killing you. I will die trying to protect my dogs.
Yeah.
So
that like makes my stomach hurt.
Her PI is like, the poor dog suffered from serious abuse, right? Cindy wouldn't do that. Like, I know her. I've been working alongside her. She wouldn't do this to her dog. Like, she loves her dog.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of those things that's like, okay, then who's doing it?
No, what is going on?
Who is it? Unless she is like actually
crazy pants,
psychotic. And they're like, he's like, she could not have done this. So over the next several weeks, there were more calls, of course, one of which her PI had answered while she was away at work. Nothing was said over the phone. But then later that evening, they found a dead cat in the stairwell of her house, which just makes no sense.
I'm like, what is going on?
No sense. On July 1st, she told her PI that 2 guys had come to her front door posing as police officers. So she called him, and then they fled before he could get there. They were gone before he could get there.
Okay.
Cindy also reported a series of further obscene phone calls after this incident, one of which the caller said, "You're dead, bitch. It's gonna feel good."
Dude, just kill her already.
Right. What are we doing? So anyway.
This is literally 2 years so far of torment.
And that's just the beginning of it.
The beginning?
Yeah.
The beginning?
Yeah.
Have you heard that? The beginning? Whatever it is. The beginning.
So the dog thing happens where they're like, she would not attack her own dog. So on July 9th, Cindy's mom spends the night at her house. In the middle of the night, they wake up to her dog barking. Cindy's checking the top floor of the house, the windows, the doors. Mm-hmm. They're walking around, and then they see that the front window is cracked.
Yeah.
Like it had tried to be broken into. 2 weeks later, July 23rd, Cindy claimed that she was attacked by a unnamed assailant in the nearby Dunbar Park while walking her dog at 8:30 at night.
Oh, ma'am, if you're being stalked, do not walk your dog at 8:30 at night in a park when it's getting dark outside.
Have you literally seen any movie ever?
What the fuck?
Any movie ever. These people. So she says this is the first time that she gives any type of like description. It was a bearded man driving a green van with a female passenger, which if you remember, the last time she said she was attacked, it was 2 men. So now it's a man and a female passenger.
Cindy.
Several hours later, around midnight, she was found in a dazed state attempting to enter the home of her neighbor and had a nylon stocking tied around her neck. Again, her dog was wandering the park. Her PI finds the dog wandering in the park because they're like, what the fuck, Cindy? Girl. She was taken to the hospital nearby, the British Columbia Health Science Center, where doctors assess her. She has 2 puncture marks in her right arm. While Cindy was being treated, a hospital receptionist told the police that a man with an accent called the front desk asking about the hospital's security policy. And when the police play the audio, they also play the recording of her ex-husband's voice. And the receptionist is like, well, there's a strong possibility that it was the same person. Maybe. Which, I mean, he would have a strong accent. He's South African. He probably does have a strong accent.
I'm just thinking about this dog wandering the park by itself. Poor baby.
I know. Poor Heidi.
I'm like, fuck the girl.
Yeah.
The dog. Taking the dog, dumbass.
I'm taking the dog, dumbass. I love that line. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you're following. There's so much happening. She's
being tormented, and we don't know what the fuck. She's being
tormented every single day. Nobody can fucking find anything. They can't find a single person. They keep going back to her ex-husband, and he's like, "Bro, it's not me. Like,
what do you want?
What do you want? Like,
what do you want?
have no evidence on me. You have no evidence on her. There's no evidence anywhere. She's been attacked how many times?
Hearsay of her
and
saying
there's
shit?
No evidence.
Just her saying. Okay.
Her saying all this shit. So following this attack in the park, where she's like found wandering the neighborhood, Cindy continues to receive anonymous phone calls, but none of them were long enough to be adequately traced by police, and police surveillance of her home was completely unsuccessful.
Because nothing's happening.
Nothing's happening. So next year, in January 1985, she's going through like therapy and like psychotherapy and hypnosis and like all of this stuff. While under one of these hypnosis treatments, Cindy tells the police that she witnessed her ex-husband murder a man and a woman and dismember their bodies with an axe while the couple were vacationing in a cabin on Thormanby Island in January of 1981. And according to Cindy, he smeared the blood from one of the victim's severed limbs across her face during the dismemberment. And it was later discovered that Cindy's sister, Melanie, was with them on this vacation. They did take this vacation and had no recollection of anything of the sort happening. Her sister's like, no. Think I'd remember.
Don't recall that.
But she's like, apparently this is like a repressed memory for Cindy.
She's sounding a little bit more and more crazy to me.
She's sounding a little bit crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like rocking it a little bit to me.
Mm-hmm. So in late June of 1985, Cindy was involuntarily committed to the psychiatric unit and at Vancouver's Lionsgate Hospital after having attempted suicide by overdosing on prescription drugs, though she later said that she had not intended to kill herself. She was just trying to get high.
Okay.
All right, girl.
Pop off.
So on July 2nd, she agreed to allow police to wiretap a phone conversation with her and her ex-husband, during which she accused him of being the source of all of her problems, confronted him about this double murder that he supposedly did. And during the conversation, he's like, no, girl.
I don't know what
you're insane.
Hell?
And you're like having some sort of like enormous revenge fantasy.
Mental
breakdown. None of that happened, girlfriend. None of this happened. So in the fall of 1985, a psychologist named Dr. Anthony Marcus was requested by the RCMP to conduct interviews with Cindy and examine her and all of her case files, because there was a million. This officer at the police department was like, I think that she's lying and she was doing all this to herself. And the various male officers who had investigated for her had been conned by her because she was pretty.
Yeah.
And like she was being so hysterical and making it so believable that
you just want to help you just
want to help this pretty girl. So based on this psychologist's interviews and analysis of police records, Marcus offered his professional opinion that Cindy may have been suffering from dissociative identity disorder stemming from a traumatic childhood incident. Although he did not like go back and like question Cindy about her childhood, but he's like, there is something going on here.
Something wrong.
Something is wrong with this girl. She's cray-cray.
Something.
She relocates again, December 1st, 1985. 10 days later, on December 11th, approximately 6 p.m., she's found by some people, some strangers, kind of halfway conscious, in a ditch approximately 3.5 miles from her house near the University of British Columbia. She's wearing men's work boots and a single glove and had a nylon stocking tightly tied around her neck.
What is going on?
Due to the frigid temperatures, because it was December in Canada or the British Columbia, wherever that is. Is that in Canada? It's in Canada, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's December in Canada. It's cold. They have real seasons there. She was suffering from hypothermia as well, and so she was rushed again to a hospital where it was suspected that she had been injected with some sort of tranquilizer. But she was also like beaten, bruised, cut, looked like shit. She was interviewed at the hospital. She had no memory of what occurred, how she got there, where she was, what the hell was going on.
I'm so confused right now.
So is Cindy.
I'm like, I'm following, but I'm like,
what is happening? Yeah. It just keeps getting better and better.
Sick.
So Cindy stays with her neighbors, the Woodcocks. Remember Agnes from before?
Mm-hmm.
For several days, where she refused to eat anything. She said that her life was no longer worth living. She was making suicidal comments. She's like, I should just die. Her psychiatrist, who'd been treating her since 1983 for years, met with her and said he had always believed her allegations of the harassment. And now he's like, and now she's suicidal because this has been going on for so long.
Yeah.
Nobody's helping her. They can't find anything. So, I mean, yeah, wouldn't you want to just die at that point? So he admitted her to the psych ward at St. Paul's Hospital for 2 weeks, where she suffered from anorexia, depression. She was not thriving.
Yeah.
She was then transferred from there to another hospital called Riverview, where they did a comprehensive psychological exam. And here's what the report noted on her. This 41-year-old woman on initial assessment was very resistant. She would only answer in one-word responses. She refused to discuss a number of topics and would give no eye contact. On a second date, her mood was considerably elevated. She had completed the other tests herself and was willing to talk. She seemed apprehensive as to how the test could be used, but she maintained good eye contact except when discussing the terrorizing incidents. She would then look down or cover her eyes and speak, like, hesitantly. She expressed upset and cried a great deal when relating these incidents. The patient kept asking if her responses to the items indicated that she was crazy. Her IQ is well above average. This type of individual can be characterized as negativistic and conforming. They have unpredictable moods, pessimism, sullenness, and social agreement, friendliness. They tend to anticipate and precipitate disappointments through their obstructive and negative behavior. This type of person tends to be vulnerable to fear.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that sounds like she was literally having a psychotic break. Like, she knew she was scared. She was actually scared for her life, but it was because she was losing her marbles.
Yeah.
And so it was like so real for her, but she didn't want anybody to think she was crazy because she was so scared of what was happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't really know how to explain it, but
no, I'm getting it. I'm picking it up.
She was vulnerable to fear, so it was like she knew she was crazy, but there had to be an excuse for it.
Yeah.
Kinda. I don't know. That's what it seems like to me. So apparently she recovers, and in August of 87, she begins working as a nurse at Richmond General Hospital. On August 28th, her home alarm was triggered after a back window was broken. And 3 days later, August 31st, she reported to the police that her front porch light bulbs had been loosened. And the following week, she reported that someone had used a glass cutter to create a hole in the basement door window. In February of 1988, Cindy indicated that someone had shattered a window to her home after securing it with electrical tape. So she's still saying she's being attacked.
Like 5 years now.
Yes. On October 11th, 1988, which is almost exactly however many years, 5 years from when it first started, her ex-husband receives 2 strange voice messages on his home answering machine. One of the messages contained a crackly, hoarse voice that said, "Cindy, dead meat soon." While the other said, "More smack, more downers, another grand after we waste the no more deal." He gave the answering machine to his attorney and was like, "Hello.
Not my problem. Here
Not
you
me."
Go.
And he was like, "Remember when I said it wasn't me? Here you go."
Yeah.
15 days later, Cindy was found unconscious in her garage. She had been hogtied and was nude from the waist down, and again, had a nylon stocking tied around her neck.
Okay, can't hogtie yourself.
So around this time, the police department hired this mountain climber knot expert guy named Robert Chisnell to analyze the knots.
Not the knot climber. Rock climber, knot climber guy. Not the sailor.
Not the mountain climber knot expert. Oh God. So they bring him out and they're like, you gotta look at these knots with the nylon stockings. Cause this is 7 times now that she's had these knots tied on her.
Yeah, she's hogtied.
At the time, Chisnell concluded that it was highly unlikely that she would have been able to secure such knots on herself, but not impossible.
How do you hogtie yourself? Give me a demo right now, because I want to know.
Listen, I don't know. I'm not having a psychotic break. Maybe if I was, I could show you.
Maybe I could figure it the fuck out.
I could probably figure it out if I was psycho enough.
Jesus.
You know? So...
What in the world?
On April 8th, a security guard at the hospital where Cindy worked discovered a note on the premises crafted with cut and paste letters, which read, "Soon, Cindy." The phrase "sleep well" was also found written in the dew of her windshield.
Okay. We've had the soon die bitch
for 6 years.
Yes. What? Kill me. Kill me already.
Just kill me.
Straight up.
So, following a reported attempted break-in at her home on April 29th, the police department uses scent hounds in an attempt to track the alleged intruder. Wow, let's use our big brains. But the dogs found no trail.
Crazy.
On May 10th, 1989, scent hounds were utilized again following another alleged break-in and were able to track the scent of an unknown individual that led over the backyard fence of Cindy's home, and that's it.
She just like dragged fucking ground meat across the ground and over the fence.
Yeah, probably. She's like, oh, I'm going to get them.
I got this.
I'm going to get these dogs. She was smart. Very high IQ. Over the course of nearly 7 years that Cindy reported the various incidents, the RCMP estimated in Canadian dollars $1 to $1.5 million worth of resources investigating her claims, but no evidence to be located or corroborate.
Oh, can they give up on her? Can they say, oh, it's Cindy again?
$1.5 million.
Oh, it's Cindy again.
It's Cindy again. Because of this, the authorities now suspected that Cindy was inventing the incidences herself and staging them to appear as though she were the victim of a violent stalker. Approximately 4 p.m. on May 25th, 1989, Cindy picked up her paycheck from Richmond General Hospital. She spoke with a coworker who said she seemed good. She was in good spirits. She was normal. Cindy told her that she had not experienced any weird activity at her home for at least 2 weeks. So she's thriving. She feels good. Cindy was last seen several hours later purchasing groceries at a Safeway and visiting the Bank of Montreal. And a bank patron told police that they stood in line behind Cindy at the bank's ATM where she deposited her paycheck at approximately 7:59 p.m. That same day, Cindy had scheduled to have an security infrared system installed into her home for obvious reasons, and had planned for her friends Agnes and Tom to play bridge and spend the night. They were going to have a game night.
Okay.
After Agnes and Tom hadn't heard from Cindy, they went over to her house at approximately 10 p.m. The house was locked. Her car was not there. They briefly spoke with a friend of hers who informed them that she had mentioned earlier she was going to go do some shopping. So Agnes and Tom drove past the shopping center, which they knew Cindy to frequent, found her car abandoned in the parking lot, proceeded to drive to the police station to report Cindy as a missing person, though it had only been a couple of hours.
Yeah.
From 8 to 10. A patrol car was sent to investigate based on her extensive history with the police department, which is pretty impressive, honestly, instead of them just being like,
24 hours.
It's Cindy.
Yeah.
24 hours. They go out. Upon examination of the vehicle, blood was located inside the car on the driver's side door, as well as groceries and a wrapped birthday gift for Tom and Agnes's son. Cindy's wallet was underneath the vehicle. And so they go to her home. They're like, okay, well, she's not here. Let's go to her house and see if anything's awry there. Nothing had been disturbed. The house was clean. Nothing was out of place. They noted that all of her house plants were alive and well tended to. So she was in her right mind for a while. The Canadian Coast Guard deployed searches of rivers in the area as well as the Gulf of Georgia in an attempt to locate this woman. They're like, God damn it, where's Cindy?
Where's Cindy?
Where'd Cindy go? Oh, shit.
Yeah. Now something's really wrong.
Now something's wrong. Where's Cindy? Several days after Cindy was reported missing, the person that rented her house informed police that he'd received a call at his office from a man claiming to be her father, inquiring about her life insurance policy, which her father later denies that he called about.
Okay.
On June 8th, 1989, Gordon Starchuk was a paving worker for the city or whatever, discovered Cindy's body in the backyard of an abandoned house in Richmond. Her body was hogtied with rope behind her back. A black nylon stocking was bound tightly around her neck, and her right leg lay beneath a blackberry bush, and her coat was found laying near her body. The property where her body was found was on a busy street near an intersection.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of foot traffic, apparently. On the residences, like outside, there was a fuel tank out there. Police found like a spray paint, graffiti, whatever, that said, "Some bitch died here." A line spray painted along the ground with the same paint ran from the fuel tank to the spot where her body was with a circle around her. And inside the abandoned house, there was another spray paint word that just said devil.
Okay.
So, like, she died. She was found dead exactly the way that she had been found numerous times before, barely alive.
Yeah.
Like, barely conscious. I just don't know.
Oh, no.
So a pathologist who examined the crime scene, her body at the crime scene, said that her hands had been tied so tightly that one finger had scratched down the other finger to the bone. And there was a pinprick consistent with a hypodermic needle located on the inner right elbow of the body. So it'd be on this side. So it'd be, was she left-handed or right-handed? I don't know.
Yeah.
Good question. And based on like the insect activity on the remains, they concluded that the body had begun decomp at the site where it was found as early as June 2nd. So she was found on June 8th, but decomposition started on June 2nd, and that it was in that spot.
Yeah.
The autopsy determined that Cindy had died from multiple drug intoxication from large amounts of morphine, Valium, and flurazepam, which is another benzo. That's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of meds. Her blood toxicology report showed that she had 10 times the lethal dose of just morphine in her bloodstream.
Oh, good.
Just the morphine, not counting the Valium and the flurazepam. Cindy had orally ingested approximately 30 milligram tabs of flurazepam, in addition to numerous tablets of Valium, and just that alone is lethal. Like, one or the other, obviously, is too many. The method of which the morphine had been administered could not be determined, completely baffling the pharmacologist who analyzed the toxicology report. Traces of morphine were found in her stomach, though the doctor guy who did her autopsy stated that the amount could have resulted in IV injection of the drug as well. By his analysis, if Cindy had received morphine via IV injection, she would have been rendered unconscious within 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Minutes. And would have died within several hours of probably respiratory failure. It was ultimately concluded by authorities that the overdose had been so large, there was no reliable estimate of how Cindy could have remained functional. So they're like, she had so many drugs in her system, she could not have done this to herself.
Yeah.
The police department suspected that Cindy's cause of death was likely suicide or accident, based on the assumption that she had fabricated her numerous prior claims of assaults and stalking. Her private investigator visited the morgue to examine her body on June 10th and observed that her remains exhibited lividity, which is just like where your blood pools based on where you are when you die. Was visible on the skin on the left side of her body, but her body had been found lying on its right side. So her private investigator said, oh, well, she probably died somewhere else and then was relocated to where her body was discovered.
Okay.
Which is weird. Also, they did an inquest for her cause of death, which is basically like a trial.
Okay.
With as much information as they can get. They still no suspect, still no nothing. They're just like, what in the hell is going on?
Yeah, what is this?
The inquest concluded on May 25th, 1990, exactly 1 year after Cindy had disappeared. After deliberations, the jury was unable to determine whether her manner of death was suicide, homicide, or accident. It was ultimately ruled that Cindy had died of an unknown event and the case was closed.
Okay.
So nobody really knows how Cindy dies. Ever. Because there was so much nonsense that she probably was causing herself. I just don't know.
I don't either.
Let me say another thing. The doctor that testified during her inquest testified that she believed that she suffered from hysterical personality disorder, when another psychiatrist of Cindy's stated that he suspected she had borderline personality disorder with a little bit of PTSD, and that she possessed a tremendous amount of rage toward her father, and based on their numerous sessions, believed that there was a very high likelihood that her father sexually assaulted her when she was a child. But it was never proven. And then also in the inquest, during all of this, after her death, her parents found a hoard of various medications in her home, including sedatives and antipsychotic drugs, all the things, which would be Valium, flurazepam, all those things could be in that list, prescribed by all of her multiple psychiatrists, which they all flushed down the toilet. And her younger sister, Melanie, found a glass cutter in Cindy's purse, along with a syringe kit and a catheter and saline solution in her bedroom.
Okay.
So remember whenever she was like, somebody
Glass
used a
cutter, my
glass
back door,
cutter for my
basement.
back window, it was in her purse.
Mm-hmm. This bitch. How do you hog tie yourself so well?
How do you hog tie yourself?
I wonder if she was like double jointed and could like pop some shit out of place.
Maybe. I can just see her injecting herself with meds. She has access to them. She is clearly going through something. I don't know how you hog tie yourself unless you tie yourself in the front and then
You can do anything when you're high.
yeah,
I guess.
you can't feel it.
So I'm saying like in front of her somehow and then pop that shit, pop a shoulder out of place and go behind her head. I don't know. Because hog tying is your ankles too, though.
True.
So.
True.
But you got to think, if you can like tie a good enough knot, get a hand in there behind you, and then just have like one string maybe that you have to pull and to tighten it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But she had to hold tight.
Honestly, I don't know. And if someone was tormenting her like this for that long, props.
How horrible.
They deserve an award because they are very good at their job.
Yeah, she had so many complaints. I mean, over 100 cases, like case files with the RCMP.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I kind of think she did it to herself, and then the other part of me is like, damn, maybe she really just had a really, really, really good stalker.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is also
there was
like,
never any evidence. Zero.
Yeah.
They had nothing. The only evidence they had for that inquest was those 2 voicemails that called her ex-husband. Nothing else.
Yeah.
Because nothing ever happened while anybody was around.
I don't know.
It's just
man.
a true...
What the hell?
Nobody fucking knows what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, even
clue.
after a trial, they were like, well, unknown cause. We don't know.
Part of me really is like, this bitch crazy. She did it to herself. Like, super, super crazy. Did it to herself. Especially going on that long. Like, why not just kill her?
Mm-hmm.
And the other part of me is like, man, she's really got someone that's like... And I really don't think it would be her ex. I'm thinking it's just like...
Yeah.
Straight up a random person.
Yeah, I think if it was anybody, actually, it was a random person. But you can also...
like one of her old patients.
Yeah, that's also a really good theory, I think. You can listen to her phone calls to the police. You can find them online.
Yeah, that's strange.
Listen to them. We'll post some of the photos. There's photos of like the like notes and stuff.
Yeah, you'd have to be out of your mind to hurt your own dog.
Yeah. Or just like really believing that it was somebody else. Like you're so high that it's like you don't think that you're doing it to yourself. And then whenever you sober up, you're like, what the, why? How am I here? Why?
Mm-mm.
You know?
It's the animal thing for me. I'm like, touch a dog. I dare
and the
you.
dead cats.
I don't really like cats. I mean, it's not
Well,
great.
I know, but still.
They don't fuck with me as much as the dog. The dog is like heavy in my brain. Like I just see like a Yorkie. I don't know why I see a Yorkie, but I just see a Yorkie like cowering down in a corner, like fucking terrified.
Yeah. But it's the fact of like, to me, the act of there being dead cats, one in her house and outside of her house. Regardless if it was a cat, a dog, a bird, a fucking snake, a chicken, you know? Why are there dead animals in your yard,
Yeah,
woman?
what are you doing?
Are you doing that or is somebody actually doing that?
It's pretty torturous.
Mm-hmm.
My boss doesn't know what's going on. He lives on like 6 acres or something like that in the middle of a city. Like he's surrounded by neighborhoods. Like it was a farm. It's still a farm. But like now he's getting overtaken by like city stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a pretty long driveway. Not as long as yours, but like yours before it turns to come to the houses.
Yeah.
But just the straight length.
Mhm.
His is like that, just straight all the way down. And then it's the gate. The gates, I think he has a gate up at the front and a gate like at the house.
Toward the house.
And one of the gates, they keep getting like that, like deer skull. That he's found like 2 or 3 like but on his side of the property.
Excuse me?
Yeah, his wife is like weirded out about it, like not really sure what's going on.
Like clean skulls?
Clean skulls. I think they're clean.
Like whole skulls.
A whole skull. Antlers are what's stuck into the fence.
Ew.
It's happened like 2 or 3 times in the last like year. And I was like,
put a camera.
Yeah, I was like, so what do you think it is? And at first he was like, it's kind of creepy. And now he's like, maybe it's just like my dog's bringing one up. and like trying to go through the fence. And I'm like, no, no, that's creepy.
A dog's not going to carry a clean, well,
I don't know.
I just wouldn't see a dog carrying a clean skull up.
It's just weird. I'm like 3 of them stuck in the fence though.
Yeah, what
Your
a
dog getting
coincidence.
3 of them stuck in the fence like that. It's like 2 or 3. I know at least 2.
That's spooky. I'd be freaked out by that.
I'd be very freaked out.
A whole skull, yeah, I'd be freaked out by that.
Yeah. And it's like, it's straight up, it's like the head. It's not a
At
body.
least it's not a human skull.
Well, that's a positive.
Let's be positive about that.
We're good with that. But if I found 3 of those in my fence,
I'd be a little unsettled.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, not a fan. Mm-mm. And he's got 2 like young kids. Like his daughter's like 10 or 11 or something like that.
There's
and his
Prowler
son's like,
about.
yeah, his son's like 2 or 3. But
Ew.
yeah, I don't like it either.
I don't like it.
And I think his wife is pretty into like the spooky stuff, like we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
I'd be investigating hardcore.
Yeah, I'd have every camera known to man.
Yes, put a camera out there immediately.
Yeah, I think he has cameras like on the house, but nothing like.
Well, there
has
needs to be
caught
one
anything.
pointed at the gate.
Yeah,
because that's weird.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
probably, let's be real, probably is an animal causing it. But like, I would need to see that concrete evidence.
Yeah, 3 times though. The odds of it being 3 times in the fence is crazy to me. 'Cause it's like one of the gates that you just like open with your hand. Like it's like a. It's not like y'all's gate.
It
It's
was like a
just
cattle
like
guard
the
gate.
bar. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Ooh, yikes. So yeah,
No. If someone was tormenting me,
the case of Cindy James.
I don't know. What's crazy to me is that they followed her no matter what. And
That's
like,
what makes me think that it was
her.
her. And like maybe she just didn't realize she was doing it. And like
Multiple
the
personalities, they don't.
right, and the thought of being so like psycho that you would stab a note through your own hand, or like
Yeah, and
that to me is the worst. Like, sure, you can tie yourself up and tie some shit around your neck, and that's effed up too. But
Pretty
like to
weird.
stab a note through your own hand,
yeah.
ugh.
Yeah, no, something's up. I kind of think she really did do it to herself. It's just like a lot of dedication to like follow someone around like that.
Yeah, it's a very elaborate suicide.
Yeah.
Plan.
But also like, why not just like, if you're really stalking someone like that and you really hate them enough to where you really want them to die,
Just kill him.
I don't think you're going to do it for 10 years. I think you're going to do it for like 1 and be like, all right,
Yeah,
on to the next one.
yeah. So yeah, that spanned over 7 years following her divorce, and I think that Cindy had some very deeply rooted trauma that she just like didn't know about. But it seemed like she was seeing psychiatrists, and they're like, yeah, dude, she was crazy.
Yeah. Well, what's weird to me is like whenever they did have her in the psych ward and they were like, one day she was like different personality than the next.
Mhm.
But what's weird to me is I'm like, I would almost think someone with a really split personality would do the same thing like at work. Like they would be good one day and then not be good one day.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like good every day at work.
Mhm. Yeah, like completely normal at work.
Yeah. That's odd to me.
Yeah, I think Cindy was just
And
nuts.
she wasn't willing to like point at
Sorry,
her
girl.
ex-husband either. Like she didn't hate him enough to like point at him to like try and
Yeah.
even blame it on him.
Yeah,
So I don't know. Yeah, she seems a little,
she was a little cooked.
yeah, something's out.
Sorry, Cindy. I hate to be on the police's side on this one.
I was halfway in. I was like, this bitch, this is weird.
Right.
She's doing it.
She's doing it. Yeah, that's kind of the way I lean too,
Yeah, I think so.
for sure.
There's
And
just-
normally I'm like, listen to the people. Like, there's a reason. And then for this one, I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Because there's so much and none of it can be like
It's like
truly.
The boy who cried wolf.
yeah.
Truly. And
Yeah.
then now she's dead, and nobody knows what happened, if she killed herself or not, because how do you know what's real and what's not?
Yeah. I don't.
It's a good one. It was fun. It's
Yeah.
very crazy. I hope you were able to follow along. There was a lot of stuff
It was
happening.
definitely a lot.
But it had a lot of good juicy details.
Yeah, there was a lot in that.
Yeah. But that's all I got on the story of Cindy James.
Yeah. Tell us your thoughts. Email us because
Yeah.
that's a lot.
If you've heard about this story, you just let me know. Also, I was supposed to cover a story that somebody told me about in the live that we did the other night, and I just completely forgot what it was. So I'm so sorry. I'll do it eventually.
I don't know. I know we got told to do haunted movie sets or cursed sets.
Oh yeah, we'll do that one during.
Yeah, I started to kind of look at it and I was like, I need more time to build this.
Yeah.
Because I like had a whole thing I was going to do yesterday, which is really weird. I was going to do haunted dolls. Like
Mhm.
I have the research started our haunted doll Cindy, and you did Cindy, and then her dad is from Russia, and his name is Otto, and Robert the doll was like from one part of his name was Otto from Russia, and I'm like, that was almost gonna be my episode today.
That is weird.
It's not my episode, but that was almost gonna be my episode today.
Dang.
And I was like, ugh.
Spooky.
Yeah, I didn't like that, but nope. I don't know. If y'all have thoughts on Little Miss Cindy, email them to us. Email your stories. Email anything. We've been getting recommendations. We've been getting stories. So feel free to send them to sistersofthestrange@gmail.com. That also, if you open our link tree on our Instagram in our bio, or our TikTok in our bio, or any of those places, the very first thing it says is email us, and you can literally click it and it will automatically open into whatever email platform you use. It's super easy to email us. Follow us on all our socials, like, subscribe, comment, all the goods.
All the good stuff.
Yeah.
Get her done.
Yeah. I think we'll see you next week.
All right. We will see you next week.
Bye.